Hey everyone, and welcome back to a sort of guide, I guess you could say, because I have been still, receiving those messages that, the daily ops are too hard to make, and especially for those who cannot actually find a team. And I can actually see that, now that people probably have gotten the rewards that they have been looking forward to the most, it's a bit harder to find a team for yourself, even though it's still pretty easy if you just look around on certain servers. But let's say you wanna solo it for whatever reason, or even just wanna participate in a sort of contributive manner in a team, and you are lacking either the skills or the weaponry to do it. Alright, I am here with my heavy weapons user character, but we are not going to use heavy weapons, we are going to be using a Tesla rifle. And the reason is why I'm on this character is because I'm showing you a literally least spec for character to use this sort of weapon and still doing well with it. So, Tesla rifle. The Tesla rifle has 4 modifications on the barrel, which is going to be the most important for you. The semi-auto, which is just the default one. The automatic, which I recommend putting on if you have it unlocked, because it's the highest DPS one. You can see that while the damage goes down slightly, the fire rate goes up by more than 4 times that of the semi-auto barrel. So the DPS wise, this is by far the best damage dealing weapon of the Tesla rifle. The charging barrel is also respectable because despite seeing that you actually need to charge up the shots and also having just a generally lower fire rate, you can countervent or kind of sidestep that charging time by firing on the ground next to your enemies, and that way the game will actually calculate this as being a fully charged shot for whatever reason. It's a bug, but there is no reason not to take advantage of it. And last but not least, the shotgun barrel, which is gonna be still counted as a rifleman perk, by the way, or rifleman perks are gonna be boosting it for whatever reason, but I don't recommend using it because this is also having that issue that the shotguns have, that it has a bit of rubber banding, and each arc will do much less damage individually than this one, of course, despite adding up to more. But since each of them has to penetrate the armor of the enemies separately, it's dealing overall a much lower damage than it suggests here on the weapon card, at least compared to the semi-auto barrel. So yeah, best one is automatic barrel. You need the commando perks to make this work. Every other one is a rifleman perk. And then the second best is charging barrel. Third best, I would say, is semi-auto, and least good is the charging shotgun barrel. The charging shotgun barrel is good, however, if you have a explosive variant, but then the explosive variant isn't gonna be doing as good in these daily ops, in my opinion, for the reason that I'm gonna be listing you next. So, let's put on the charging barrel for now, as well as putting on some reflex sights, because that increases my accuracy a bit. And let's go into the daily ops and showcase why this weapon is so good, shall we? Actually, I just noticed that today's daily ops is featuring the probably most annoying type of mutation, the resilient, which means that enemies can only be killed by a melee attack. And all the other mutations, the cloaking, when the enemies cannot be seen unless they attack, the freezing, which the enemy's attacks freeze you, or the explosive when they explode on impact, doesn't really matter for the Tesla rifle. But this one is the only one which requires an additional sort of step to make it work. And that one is gonna be a weapon additionally to this one, which is you can find something at the edged melee weapons and go down to either, no matter which you have, the Reaper or the Mr. Handy Buzz Blade. The Mr. Handy Buzz Blade is a bit easier to access because the plants are really easy to get for it, but Mr. Handy Fuel is something that you need to find out there. So right now I'm just gonna make a Reaper in the level. Why can't I make level 650 variant? I have no idea, but I guess we'll have to go with this for now. Doesn't really matter, damage isn't gonna count as much, weapon reach is probably a bit different, but just in case I'm gonna be upgrading it as well with the extended blade, and we'll see how it works. Now by this time you have probably already figured it out why I recommend the Tesla rifle in these daily ops. First of all, is the Tesla rifle, like any other laser rifles or energy rifles rather, cannot have a suppressed option. And that's a bad thing because, Commando and Rifleman characters utilize sneak to the advantage the most. And, that damage, extra damage that they get from that is very, very significant. But now when sneaking is not an option anyway, it's no longer a hindering factor for a Tesla rifle. And the other one, of course, is being the fact that it can hit multiple enemies without being explosive, because the arcs can connect between close by enemies as well as just, being close to the ground if you shoot at the ground, which is very, very useful because these areas are very sort of tight in terms of just fighting space, and the enemies are usually spawning at same locations every single time. There is basically about 3 locations they can come at you, and there is usually more than one coming at your way. And the Tesla rifle is gonna be, as you will see, very, very useful in these situations. And the bug for it has already been fixed before you wanna comment that. Because yes, there was that bug that you could get the damage for any ranged weapon kind of, not count, and only melee weapons would deal any damage for you. But this has been fixed, and the only way you can trigger it nowadays is if you spam it with a faster fire rate variant in VETs with the automatic barrel, which, let's be honest, is not gonna be happening to anybody, because this isn't a weapon that you should be using in VETs, in my opinion. Now, let's get right into the Daily Ops itself and see what we can do, shall we? There's a rifle out.
This area is a hotbed of enemy activity.
And this is the Desert Rifle's biggest strength, because enemies cluttered together are gonna be both damaged by it, despite the weapon not being explosive, of course. So just shoot at the ground. As you can see, I'm dealing maximum damage. And the dog is already over. And this super is already over. So now I just need to pre-release out the Reaper, hold it down, and all of them die. This is how you deal with the enemies that are already, taken down to pretty much the lowest of their health. And just a few more shots into the fray, and then you should be able to take all of them down with the Reaper swing. There you go. Just move them all down. There you go. Marvelous. And now moving on to the boss. Now the boss is the only part where you actually probably need another weapon, because let's be honest, this is not very a good single target weapon. This is a very good, crowd control weapon, like most of the situations are like in the Daily Ops. You do need a better weapon for the final fight, because it's not gonna be enough for me to take down the boss, but everything else you can possibly still do pretty easily. As you can see, it's not enough to damage him enough, but there you go. And just in 8 minutes. So yeah, there is that. Alright, so this was the power of the Tesla rifle in the Daily Ops, and hopefully you found this just as impressive as I found it first time. And yes, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.